we got something a little bit interesting. It's different on a small scale that I'm doing right now. I had a customer reach out that wanted some specific species of wood. I initially thought they were going to be cooking with them, as they're asking for apple wood, stuff like that, but really he just has this very small fire pit, like raised fire pit, that he uses, and he was looking for some aromatic woods. So I have some birch right here, and a little bit of sassafras as well, that I am going to be, he just wanted 2 bundles. I'm going to be making that into a few bundles right now. I'm going to be loading those up and going to my farm stand, the roadside firewood stand. And I'm going to be getting that filled up today too. It's been a little bit since that's been empty. We're going to go ahead and get that filled up, so go ahead and wrap these few bundles and get going. Here's what we have going on right now. It is Saturday morning. My helper was supposed to be here a little while ago, but it looks like he called out for the day. So we gotta go ahead and get this trailer emptied. Probably about 4 bins in here. This is all oak. A little bit of white oak right here at the back end. and then everything else is red oak. So gotta get this all stacked so we can use this trailer for delivery in the next day or two. Let's get to it. Alright, well, I just finished moving quite a bit slow today. It's Saturday and I've had a long few weeks. I just finished up stacking all of these bins up. This was also all strictly red oak and white oak. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a little bit over a quarter totes in the trailer, and it wasn't even nearly completely full, so it's close to a quart and a half that was in the trailer, along with all this chaff, because I was running through a lot of old logs. Lots of old logs, so this thing made a lot of junk. One thing I will say is that it did not make nearly as much kindling. That's all the kindling I got out of 4.5 totes. I typically get a tub, at least one tub, or used to get one tub per cord. But now with the new wedges on the Cord King, the actual built wedges by a actual firewood processor company, I get significantly less chaff and waste. Most people call it all waste. I collect it back as kindling and resell it as kindling, or sell it as kindling. Most people do not, so for most that would be a good thing. Significantly less waste. For me, it's a catch-22. Less waste, more actual wood, but less kindling. So that means I'll be running the Kindling King a whole lot more often now, which I'm not mad about. I mean, it runs very easily off the side of the Cord King while it's running. But yeah, what I got was 3 full totes of straight red oak and 1 of white oak. So the white oak, I separate out. Now with my additional production capacity of the Cord King 1820 R with the repeater wedge and the 16-way wedge, I will be able to run specific loads of wood a lot easier and a lot quicker. Instead of just doing a lot of mixed hardwood, I'll be able to sort, I've been starting to sort everything out in the log pile here by species, running through a lot of the maple and cherry first, and obviously ash that all dries the quickest. Or a lot of these old logs are old and probably will be dry in the next month, but the rest of it I'll be able to run species specifically. And then I do have We're gonna be running the Monster Splitter again soon because I just picked up these absolutely mammoth logs. I mean, just for reference, there's my foot on this one. That's got to be a 35 to 36 inch diameter, and it's all of 14 feet long. And we got, this was all one tree I just picked up from a tree job that somebody was doing in the area. This is the rest of it. That is the grapple that opens up to 48 inches, and it's pretty wide open. You know, right now on that log, it won't get the bottom. There's the butt. The butt is all of, you know, at least 4 feet in diameter at the flare, but there's not a bit of rot on the butt log until you get up to this one. This was like the 4th log up. There was a void in it, but this will be perfect wood to run through the Monster Splitter. Get it sized down. You know, we're just gonna quarter it up and be able to run it through the Chord King processor. A lot of logs on deck. But yeah, that's what I got going on today. Gotta go to an appointment really quick, and then I'll be back to stack a second trailer for the day. As I walk through the sea of filled totes, you know, stacked bins, working my way over to the processor. But right now what I'm going to be doing is cleaning up around the processor to be able to make room for more sawdust, more chaff, more everything that, you know, is made when you're using a firewood processor. But every so often I got to do this now. Definitely a lot more often than when I had the old processor. So what I did here is I cleaned up as much. I actually sold a load out of here of all the cutoffs, you know, like basically like this one. All the cutoffs, I sold a load of those to someone. You know, I've always sold those. I sell them cheap. This time of year they go, so pretty much what's left here is just the pine. Gotta go and clean those up. There's more bags of sawdust that I gotta bring home to the chicken coop. But here's what I gotta deal with right now. Gotta get this whole, that's a 2-yard bucket of sawdust. There's something living over here. There's some scat right there. I don't know what that's from. I know there's a fox living around here. Just we gotta be careful. There's some footprints right here. See what's, hopefully nothing's living in this pile. But I gotta deal with all these little cutoffs. These are all the short pieces cutoffs, and then the long ones. Obviously they get pushed in the bucket from, you know, down the trough, dump off this side. Those are the longer pieces, or the ugly pieces, or whatever, you know, stuff like this that I really didn't want to get another piece out of. You know, it's fine, but still gotta go ahead and get all that cleaned up before we load the deck and everything up here. Load the deck and process the next few trailer loads. So what we're going to be doing right now is just cleaning all of this up. The conveyor gets a lot of this picked up here as well. So all that comes out of the underside of the conveyor. You can see there I got a little liner right there from an IBC tote to catch a lot of it, so I can pull that out in, you know, one big, you know, clump. And then go to the other side over here. Gonna use the rock bucket and the firewood bucket to pick up all this stuff, and then switch back to the forks to pick up the bucket right there and pull it, you know, twist it sideways so I can attach to it with the tractor and get that out of here. But let me put you somewhere that's safe. I don't know exactly where that'll be. Maybe on the conveyor. Yeah, by the conveyor here it'll be safe, and we'll get to it. far. Instead of pull, actually, it's so easy to pull this tub out this way. Let's see that. There we go. Come over and grab that with the tractor. Well, today has clearly turned into a cleanup day, and maybe an expensive one. I'm not sure if you saw that. I did end up getting the bucket out of there, switch over to the forks like I should have done, like I said I was going to. But I caught my door of my tractor on this right here, with a little dent in that, which that's not a big deal. This thing still works just fine. But it's more of the tractor latch that I may have just taught myself an expensive lesson, and just do what you say you're gonna do and swap attachments to the forks and make it easy. Because you can see this latch right here kinda broke. Well, it did break. What I'm gonna try, before I have to go buy a new one, which I'm sure this is a pretty cheap part, I'm gonna try some plastic welding. Right now it's working. I mean, it's kind of, it's put back together. I'm opening and closing the door just fine. I'll try to get it back together a little bit better, then throw some JB Weld and some plastic welding on it, and we'll get it to work just fine, I'm sure. If not, I'll have to buy a new one. I'm sure that little latch is not the most expensive thing in the world. Just taught myself more of a lesson, and just take the few minutes and do it the easier way versus just trying to fight it. Or I should say the better way versus the easier way and trying to fight it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this camera over here. We'll end up time-lapsing this. Let's go ahead and get all of this sawdust and chaff and everything else cleaned out of the Cord King, because there's a lot of it. It makes a lot. Let's go ahead and get to it. there you have it. That is the cleanup process. Well, some of it. Still got all this stuff, but that's for another day. We got this very clean compared to what it was. I'm gonna use a leaf blower and just kind of blow everything off before I go ahead and start it up and get running it. So I'm not gonna show that because leaf blowers are loud, but we'll get to it in just a few minutes.